Hi, Max Brantley with the Arkansas Times on Monday, October the 16th. Let's start with Trumpcare. No need to call it Obamacare any longer because Donald Trump, by executive orders and an end of subsidy payments for poor people on health insurance, has made the national health care scheme his own, and it's not a very pretty sight. Insurance rates are going up all over the country, up to 25% for people in the health marketplace in Arkansas. Donald Trump had a news conference today. It was somewhat incoherent, but mostly he seemed proud of what he's done. He thinks the chaos he's caused in the insurance market are going to force the Democrats to the bargaining table to do something they've said they won't do, which is end universal health care. Not a very good bargaining by the president, I don't think, but we shall see. The governors, the National Governors Association, have sent the president a letter asking him please to reconsider the end of subsidies to the states for helping people pay for their health insurance. Trump calls this erroneously some kind of benefit to the insurance companies. It's not. It's a direct benefit to lower income people. He still seems proud of it nonetheless. Governor Asa Hutchinson has been cautious so far in his comments, but Arkansas stands to lose hugely on this. Today, the president also said at a news conference that he'd done just a bang-up job with disaster relief, which does not exactly square with things on the ground in Puerto Rico, where the disaster is still immense and where most of the people still don't have water or electricity. Also on the Donald Trump front, the rumors continue to grow that in a further shakeup of administrative posts that Tom Cotton, our U.S. Senator, might end up as head of the CIA. He and Trump get along. That's not something I'd call a compliment exactly, but they do seem eye to eye on some security issues. Sort of a mixed blessing. We lose Cotton as a senator. It's hard to imagine we get somebody colder and less compassionate should that come to pass. But right now, that's just a rumor. Also today, interesting reporting in the New Yorker about things Donald Trump reportedly said about Mike Pence, made fun of his religion, made fun of his positions against abortion and against gay rights, made a joke about how Mike Pence would just like to see gay people hang. Very funny, not exactly a joke. I should have said during Puerto Rico that French Hill, the congressman from Little Rock, a Republican, was one of only 69 members of the House, none of them from Arkansas except for French Hill, who voted against disaster aid for Puerto Rico. He said somehow this was compassionate to help them lift themselves up out of their misery and not provide government assistance. He did provide assistance to Florida and Texas, but those people look a little bit different, you may know. Big dispute grew up at the end of last week in the city of Little Rock over rap music. A concert was canceled at the last minute Friday night at the Metroplex. A rapper named Moneybagg Yo. He'd had some problems at some of his past concerts. Some shootings had broken out at some clubs. The police chief expressed concern, but he worked out an increased security plan. He thought he could provide security, and he didn't think he was in the business of canceling concerts. Well, the city board saw things differently, in particular Mayor Mark Stodler. They talked about having an emergency city board meeting Thursday night and going to court to cancel this concert. That didn't happen because the promoter canceled the concert. But the action prompted some criticism from people and from this corner, from prior restraint and trying to the government imposing First Amendment restrictions before anything had actually happened. But State Representative Charles Blake and Frank Scott Jr., who's a candidate for mayor against Stodler next year, also sharply criticized the mayor for intervening both in police department management and also stopping a concert out of fear. There's an undeniable racial element in this. This is black music, and a lot of members of the city board, older white people, are very nervous about that sort of music. I think we'll see more of this. Stodler responded that he did exactly the right thing. I think he'll get some sympathy in some segments of the community for being seen as having stopped the concert. Some people won't see it quite the same way. Well, we learned over the weekend, the Arkansas Blog first reported that the state police has now posted the proposed rules for getting an enhanced concealed carry permit that will allow you to carry your concealed weapon onto college campuses. It includes a shooting test where you've got to score 70% on firing shots from different distances. Needless to say, those conditions are not as difficult as you might face in a real-life situation. There's going to be a public hearing on those permit rules on October the 31st. You'll not be able to get these permits until sometime next year. UALR announced today that it had picked a consultant out of Texas to study whether it should start a football program. That study will be completed sometime in the spring. It's the same consultant the state hired to consult what they need to do about War Memorial Stadium. I bet they might say that the War Memorial Stadium needs a football team, and that UALR needs a football team, so War Memorial Stadium will have a tenant. What do you think? I think the odds are good. They'll recommend football. There's no way football will pay for itself at University of Arkansas at Little Rock. Some people think having a football team, though, is good for a campus. Other Division I colleges in Arkansas, except for the University of Arkansas, lose huge sums of money, and they make it up with student fees to have football teams. Well, the good people of Yellville held another turkey drop festival this weekend up in Marion County, and once again they tossed turkeys. These are domesticated turkeys, not wild turkeys as some people think, off buildings, and including out of an unauthorized airplane drop that everybody knew was going to happen. It's so shameful of the Yellville Chamber of Commerce that they don't advertise the sponsors of this event on their website, but everybody up there seems to get a big kick out of terrifying turkeys, and the protests that come from around the world just seem to encourage them to do more of it. There's some pictures on our website that are not particularly pretty of the happenstance. If you like cruelty to animals, it ought to make you happy too. Well, interesting story out of Fort Smith, where legislators seem to have a propensity of making a lot of money at the public expense. This one's from Talk Business, and it reports that Matt Pitch, a state representative from Fort Smith, a Republican, supposedly an expert in small business, has made $700,000 over the last 8 years about being a consultant on a projected port project to be built near Fort Smith. Nothing has happened. They've spent $1.6 million in public money, and Pitch has gotten $700,000 of it. Nothing to show for it. An expert in ports up there says this thing was a bad idea from the start. There are ports all along the Arkansas River that aren't living up to capacity, and this is just a waste of taxpayers' money. Matt Pitch seemed to be unhappy about being asked about this. He said, well, wait, you didn't count the taxes I have to pay on this, and I also have to pay for my family's health insurance. Imagine that, paying taxes on your income and buying your own family's health insurance. Seems terribly unfair to do that to a legislator who also makes about $70,000 a year in salary and expense payments from taxpayers for being a legislator. Well, one other piece of good news, perhaps, if all this makes you unhappy. Hilton Garden Inn's opened the new 140-room hotel in downtown Little Rock about 2 weeks ago. Coming in November, a rooftop bar. You can sit on top of the hotel and look at the city of Little Rock and have a drink. Perhaps that might calm you down a little bit. I'm Max Brantley. I'm resisting. You do too. I'll be back tomorrow.